What's up? What's up? How is everybody?
Everybody is
What's
good.
going
How are
on?
you?
Doing great, doing
Great.
great.
Glad to be here. Glad to be wanted.
First of all, Jericho, I truly do appreciate you even giving us some time to have you on here, man. I know you are busy. Every time I see your YouTube, I'm like, this dude put out a video 4 hours ago, and then 2 hours ago, and then 1 hour ago, and
Yeah,
I'm like,
man.
he's steady working. Um, but I love it. And anybody who's maybe new to you, man, you were one of the first ones I think I came across that was really I would say like an eye opener, especially for us of this skin tone. Um, my mom, who a lot of people who follow Interview and me personally know what happened to my mom last year. She passed away, and she was me and her used to watch your stuff all the time. So she would send me
Oh, wow.
some videos from you. I would send her some stuff, and you're just going in on all the crazy shit that is happening and stuff. So this is like I know, man. I'm like it's crazy that I have you here because watching you basically on a screen is unreal and actually having a conversation with you. So for me, it's very, very like special. I appreciate you joining us.
Hey, man.
Um,
Go ahead, bro.
oh, I was just gonna go into just having you give us a little backstory because a lot of people who probably watch your stuff don't know probably where you started or even your history before you even got on YouTube.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for allowing me to be here. Um, Man, you're about to start the waterworks in here telling me about your mom. I'm sorry to hear about your loss. I'm sure she's watching, so I hope I don't disappoint. Bree, somebody said in there, thank you for your service. You were in the military?
No, maybe they're just talking
Uh,
about me running my mouth all the time.
well, that is a service. Believe
Yeah.
me, you are definitely still taking some slings and arrows doing that. But, I grew up, born and raised in California before it was the California we know now, before it was this, disgusting diarrhea sandwich that is California now. It was the Golden State. It was prosperous. It was beautiful. So growing up, seeing that, and then seeing it transform into what it is now, just kind of fuels the fire of, me getting on here and talking. But yeah, born and raised in California, 80s, 90s kid, so that kind of view on things, because I really believe we're all watching the same show. We just have different seats. And, some of us may got into the show earlier than others, but that's where I'm at. I joined the service out of high school in the Navy, the world's finest Navy, the finest branch of the military there is. Anybody tells you any different, they're lying to you. And my parents, both Army, my dad 23 years, my mom 10. So there was plenty of structure in my house. There was plenty of discipline. There was plenty of, um, adults here, kids here. When you're in the presence of adults, you're quiet, things of that nature. But one day I was washing my car in the front yard and I was listening to Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman. And they're going on about this bullshit about how it's so tough in the NFL for black quarterbacks and Warren Moon and all this stuff. And I just got sick of it, man. That is such a lie to be putting out there to people. If you ride the pine in the NFL, you're 100,000 there off the top. You don't got to catch no passes. You don't got to do nothing. You don't got to break a sweat. So you're automatically 100,000 there just from signing. So where the hardships come in for that, you're an athlete. You play games. You probably can't go out in public because too many people want you to autograph. And, they create a crowd. I mean, what a tough life to live. And there's plenty of people out there saying what I say, but I just didn't hear anybody saying it like I wanted it said. So, hey, I just started a YouTube channel. I barely had the technical know-how to do that. And I just started talking, man. And, people wanted to hear it. I mean, what we say shouldn't be that much of a breath of fresh air. It really shouldn't be. It should be like, this is what we all understand. This is how we go about our lives. But shit has gone sideways. So here all of us are. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started doing my thing.
Yeah, I want to ask you something. I'll pass it over to Bree. Is the importance of and I hate even the term black, but just for the skin color for dummies. We'll just say black, right? To be
Melanated.
a voice
Say
for
melanated.
for well, melanated, yeah, either or, skin tone. To be a voice for those people in a sense, the people who don't have a YouTube or made just they don't even have the strength to speak out in the way that you do. How do you see yourself in that light?
Um, Man, really, I just see myself as somebody who's saying what we're all thinking. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody should feel like they can't say something, or like if I talk to somebody, like talk to a white person, they're like, well, I can't say it. You can say it, but I can't. I don't like that mindset. Why can't you say it? So say it. So what? Like, it's not going to hurt anybody. We all remember that whole sticks and stones thing. It's not going to hurt anybody. I don't like people having that mindset that to be fearful of speaking, saying what they think. And it's true. When did the truth become some shit we got to be all Anne Frank about and say it all quiet in the basement and we don't want nobody to know? Like, it's the truth. And it's not my truth or your truth. It's just the truth. And we need to have that baseline. We need to have somewhere that we all agree the sky is blue, fire is hot, and then we can build on it. We can have a conversation. We can change shit. But as long as it's the way it is now, man, I can't not say something. Like, what the fuck? What is going on here? So yeah, man, I can't not say anything. And now I got a couple people that want to hear it. Man, let's go.
There's way more than a couple people, I'll tell you that. Because just going through you, I found other people like Anthony Brian Logan, who, once again, my mom, and I'll just bring this up before I pass over to you, Bree, was my mom was, thanks to people like you, thanks to me being awake, my brother, my mom, before, the end of her life, she woke up to everything that was going on. And unfortunately, she's one of the only few in my family who are awake. It would technically be me, my brother, my sister, my mom. Now we no longer have our mom. It's me, my brother, and my little sister. So it's like we are battling a liberal hive mind at this point. And I think it's just more detrimental for people of our, skin color, if you want to call it that. Bree, I'll pass it over to you.
Well, I do want to say what we are saying is a breath of fresh air because we have been lied to for so long. Like when Trump came to be our president in 2016 and he started calling out fake news, I think a lot of us were shocked because for so long through our elementary schools, through the big pharma, Viva education, whatever it may be, we have been trained to think a certain way and we have really been brainwashed until he came about. And a lot of us started to wake up and say, you know what is he talking about? So we started doing our own research and we started digging and we started doing simple things like going to his Twitter account and finding out that a lot of the tweets that they were bringing up, calling him racist and saying things that he really didn't say, you could literally just go to his account and look at it. None of those tweets were real. So when we started doing our own digging and researching, we were like, oh my gosh, so what else have I been lied to about? If I've been lied to about a tweet, what else have they been lying to me about? So as we started doing our own research and we started finding out what was going on for ourselves, we were like, oh my gosh, people need to hear our voice. People need to hear what's going on. And people are attracted to us and what we have to say because we're being honest with them. I mean, does everybody like it? Obviously not. Does everybody agree with what we have to say? Absolutely not. I have people that fight with me in my inbox all day long, but I continue speaking the truth because at the end of the day, I believe, this is just my belief system, that the government is after us. They're seeking to steal, they're seeking to kill, and they're seeking to destroy the America that all of us know. Right? They want to turn our kids into pedophiles. They want to turn our kids into monsters. And you see it. There's an agenda going on and they're attacking our kids. And I always say that it's a trickle up effect because if they can get our kids to be degenerates, guess what? It's going to create a generation of degenerates. And that's what they're after. So what we have to say is actually a breath of fresh air for a lot of people because they're not hearing this. You're not going to hear any of this stuff on the news. And hence to why we're all being censored, right? We're being censored. Our pages are being snatched. Followers are being taken from us. I can't even go live on my page, and who am I, right? I don't even have 1,000 followers, and I can't even go live on my page because of the stuff that I talk about. So I just want to say, let's just keep on going, because what we have to say is amazing, and people do want to hear this.
I sure
Yeah.
do. Yeah. Something I want to say real quick, Bree. Something you talked about us being brainwashed, and I think the greater trick than them brainwashing us is putting a system in place to where we police ourselves. To where if you start to break out and learn things, because if you don't know what's really going on, it's because you don't want to. We're in an age where everybody has a computer in their pocket, and everything you want to know, whether it be historical facts or stupid stuff, it's right there. And everything human history has ever gathered as knowledge is in your pocket. So if you don't want to know the truth, if you don't know, it's because you don't want to. But when we try to do better, we police ourselves. Why are you talking like that? Where are you going? How come you're hanging out with us? Oh, why are you talking white? They put such a system in place that we beat each other down to keep us in the ranks. And that, I think, is a greater trick than it's like a crock pot. You put the ingredients in there, set the temperature, and walk away. It'll take care of itself. So if we don't beat it out of each other verbally and mentally, to keep us in line, to keep you from doing better and becoming white, whatever that means, then they have the safety net of abortion, if you even make it out of the world. And if you do, in some of these inner cities, these cesspools, usually ran by Democrats, there's a good chance you're going to get gunned down before you can become an adult. So whoever made this plan, it is being executed to perfection and to our detriment.
I agree. LJ.
Yeah, man, I really like what Bree said. It was really like hitting on a lot of points that I think for a lot of people it was a wake up call when Trump came in, but like people like myself, I'm like, man, I've been knowing about fake news for over a decade, Just in my community, we was always told to not trust what we see on TV, just because the lack of presence that we were even receiving from television, when so much violence and things were happening amongst like the inner city of Los Angeles. And so, it was like a lot of people who were living in La La Land got a dose of reality, because when Trump got in, it was like all gloves are off because he wasn't one of them.
Yep.
But that was kind of like a wake up call for America, because most people didn't understand the dynamics of the news, because at first it was to brainwash a certain amount of people, but then they realized the power that they could have with the internet and with just being able to have influence from how people move every day to what their views are on Christianity, to gay rights, to et cetera, et cetera. And now they don't have to do this by force. They have to just do it with a click and the push of a button. And that's kind of like the big dynamics of what's really happening here, is that the warfare that's going on is on the internet. It's in the information, because everybody is just watching and listening and going on LA Times, still going to CNN's websites, Fox, all that bullshit, and they're reading these bullshit ass articles, and they're taking this shit verbatim without actually going and doing their research on what's really going on behind the scenes. They're just allowing these little articles that give you little bullshit here, so-called artifacts, and then people are like, oh, okay, well, they said this and that, so this must be like the truth, and this is what happened, and that's not necessarily the case. So I feel like now that we're moving into this time of dealing with Joe Biden and inflation, a lot of people have no choice but to wake up, because if you don't wake up, you're going to be on the ground, and they're going to be sticking that needle right up your ass, and that's where we at.
Let me.
Yeah, I mean, did y'all see today how when Barack came to the White House, nobody was even looking at Biden. Nobody was even checking for him. And if Trump was president, there's no way in the world you're going to be there not paying attention to President Trump. And even for Barack Obama, they just have a better presence than that feeble old man. And he was straight ignored. Like he had wandered out somewhere and he was looking for the people who were supposed to be taking care of him. And he's supposed to be Mr. 81 million votes.
Yep. And that's what I talked to somebody just this week about. I said, think about it. America's supposed to be the strongest country that anybody has ever known. And how did we end up with a man who can barely formulate a sentence? That makes no sense. And he's supposed to represent us on a world stage and get things done. And this man can't even formulate a sentence, a coherent sentence for anybody. He forgets where he's at. He doesn't know what he's talking about half the time. And then we look like a bunch of fools because we have Kamala Harris that can't even explain to you what's going on between Ukraine and Russia. All she can tell you is Ukraine is a little country right besides Russia, and it's like really tiny over there in Europe. I know 3-year-olds that can explain that better. We look like fools right now. And people thought it was all fun and games having a supposable first Black vice president that's a female, and she can't even get anything done for us. Now look at where our country's going. We went from having the strongest economy to now we're getting ready to head towards food shortages. It's like, how did we get to where we're at today? Because people don't have common sense. We don't use common sense anymore. We have literally drained our society of common sense, and people can't think and put 2 + 2 together. They did a video about these college students and asked them, what do you guys like about Kamala Harris? They couldn't tell you anything. They couldn't tell you one thing. Now, these are supposed to be our most educated generation that we have ever had. Most educated, well off, and they can't tell you what Kamala Harris is doing because they don't have a mind of their own. The media has told them what to think, who to vote for, and who to be. And this is why I said brainwashing. The brainwashing is real. They set these people up inside the lecture halls, which are all your colleges, and they brainwash these students into being what they want them to be.
What is your take on, I would say, that Republican and Democrat dynamic?
I think that, number one, there's never been this great switch. It was never back in slavery that, the Republicans and the Democrats switched places. The Democrats have always been Democrats. The Republicans have always been Republicans. But I'm a firm believer that with this present group we have in there now, we might need a third party because neither one of these parties are serving us as they should. Whether it's Democrat or Republican, as long as we are number one and they keep their eyes on our wants, then there should never be a problem. Because they're going to be doing what we want. So if something goes bad, it really would be on us and not them. But now they seem to be doing what they want. And I think some people are so dug in on the left that no matter what, they're going to ride with them. No matter what. Look at what, as soon as they even came out and said, we got to get Trump out of office. Not we got to serve the people better. We got to do a better job for the people. We got to give the people what they want. It was, we got to get Trump out of there. So they're no longer serving our needs. And what's worse than them is a rhino, somebody who's supposed to be a Republican, but they end up voting with them. But if I had to give them both a grade, hey man, they're both failing, as far as I'm concerned. But as far as their beliefs and what they're based in, yeah, the Republicans are definitely better. I never understood the problem with pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I've had people tell me that, oh, we're just supposed to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. Yes, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. That's why they got straps on them. You can pull yourself up. It works for everybody else. How come every other group can work hard and take the slings and arrows of life and be fine with it? But we got to be coddled and, oh, don't say that because of some shit that happened 250 years ago. Shit happened to everybody 250 years ago. Everybody's life was shit back then. And if we want to be treated as everybody else, then we have to take everything that comes with it, not just the good stuff, but the personal responsibility. And the Republican Party seems to tout that. The Republican Party seems to say, work hard, get what you work for. Nobody should have a problem with that. That brings millions of people to our shores every year because they know when I get there, it's all on me. All I got to do is work hard. There's no system that's going to keep me down. I have recourse in America. If there's a problem, there's a million.orgs I can go to. There's a 3-digit number I can call, and people will come driving real fast to help me. So that structure is in place. So that's what brings people here, knowing that all they have to do is work hard. All they got to do is get here. Now, that's not every immigrant, obviously, but that's still what brings people to our shores every year. And the Democrats seem to be about violence and racism and all the things they seem to be standing on their soapbox pointing at everybody else about. That's the shit they're doing. And the group of people who should be shouting the loudest against them and going the opposite direction are pulling the lever for them in 95 plus percentiles during the elections. How did they do that? How do you get the group that you shit on the most and you stand on top of the most to reach what you want, but they still, it's like an abusive relationship. If you catch some dude out in the parking lot getting rough with his old lady, you say something to him, she's gonna jump on you. That's my man with her swollen eye and blood coming out of her lip. Get your hands off of him. So I think that's kind of what we have here. I mean, a government check can't be worth all that, can it? It can't be worth the destruction of our people and the loss of life. And what's funny, the Democrats, again, Miss Margaret Sanger, please look that wretched ghoul up. You got people, we complain about not being represented, whether it be in government, TV, the corporate life, or whatever. Well, since Roe v. Wade, 20 million black children, black babies have been killed. So if those babies were alive, that 20 million maybe turns into 30 or 40 million, and then it turns into 60 million. And now, instead of being that this perpetual 13% of the population that we can't seem to break past, now we're 20% of the population, 30% of the population. Now we can start making some shit happen. But as long as we keep suckling from that Democrat teat, this is it. We're at our ceiling. But if I had to pick, yeah, Republicans all day. Democrats ain't shit.
When I started researching about Margaret Sanger, I was blown away. Like, I was really shocked about it. And this is how strategic she was. She was part of the Democratic Party, which a lot of people don't understand what she was about. And she went into the black community and she got a black pastor, a black Christian pastor, to head up her organization so she could get black people to start listening to her. That's literally what she did. She knew that if she showed her white face, this is what she said, inside of the black community, they would never listen to her. But she needed to try to find out a way to stop black people from reproducing. What better way than Planned Parenthood? What better way than birth control? What better way than you killing off your own children? We all know that if eventually what happens to a population that becomes stagnant, it dies off. It's no more. And that's true to this day. Not only are we killing each other via the abortion clinics, but we're also murdering each other at a high rate. Just last year alone in Memphis, Tennessee, over 300 black men were killed by other black men. This is the real pandemic of the black community, and nobody's talking about any of this stuff. We turn a blind eye and a deaf ear, and we scream about white supremacy, and we listen to fools like Colin Kaepernick, who's getting paid $40 million on the back end to push this crap.
But they have time to sign the anti-lynching bill, though. That's important work.
And the only thing that this is doing, the anti-lynching bill, Juneteenth, Joe Biden's just setting himself up to run again. That's all he's doing. What about giving black people a real stake in society? What about the 40 acres and a mule? Right? What about actually putting money on the table to make you entrepreneurs and CEOs of something so you actually have substance? They don't want to do that. Why? Because racism happens to actually be economic. If they can keep you at the bottom of the totem pole, guess what? You're never going to be anything. You're just going to be sitting there crying all day long about how nobody will do anything for you. So then they're going to up your food stamps and your welfare, and you're going to continue to vote for the Democratic Party like they've done something for you, and they haven't. They gave you Juneteenth. What does that do for you? They gave you a lynching bill. Who's getting lynched? Who? I mean, it's stupidity what they're doing. They're running around in circles, the same thing that the Democratic Party has done since forever, and not giving Black people anything. You guys will never get anything from them because they were never designed to do anything for you but keep you in slavery. And it's true to this day. The welfare system was meant to keep you in slavery, and it does. Think about it. Our children are born 82% out of wedlock, while 74% of our mothers will go on to be single mothers. Our Black men are dead or in jail by the age of 25. All the system. And we signed up for it, and we continue on it.
Yeah, I think, and see, here's the thing with a lot of that is when if Black people were in position to prevail, which is technically what Trump was trying to do, and for some reason we said that was racist. Once you have Black people economically stable, then that means that the gang violence ceases. That means that all the thieves and robberies, that stops happening. See, we're not in position economically, not because of racism, but because of policy that is in place that keeps us in welfare types of situations. And one thing I had a conversation with my grandfather about was he used to always tell me that Republicans were for the rich and the wealthy and the Democrats were for the poor. But for someone who's alive 81 years, I would think he'd be a lot smarter than that, because what I realized was that the Democrats keep you poor. And the Republican Party, if we're just going off of principle, is there to make sure that you have something sustainable for yourself. And that's the reason why when people start to make money and have their own businesses and all this, they start to vote Republican, because then they see that somebody like Joe Biden, who wants to tax the hell out of everybody, right? Or AOC talking about tax the rich or the wealthy is you. When you become out of this welfare system, that you then become wealthy, or at least you start to obtain wealth. And this is what I've noticed. And so over this time, now you see them talking about taxing the rich, and we see gas and all this. This is affecting everybody. They don't really care about your status. It's all about, can they control you? And once you start to get out of that control system, they try to find another way to control you. And this is happening. It doesn't matter what skin color you are. So I try to tell, the people who look like us, it's not about race. It's not about, what how many baby moms you have and kids and none of that stuff. These people at the top do not care about any of that. They don't care. And that's Republicans and Democrats, because we have rhinos. We have Democrats who are Republicans. We have Republicans who are Democrats. So if you're looking at it in a political aspect, they really don't give a shit. They really don't.
No. And when we get that independence, we don't need them anymore. That's why they see free thinking people as a threat. It's like a mom that doesn't want her kid to grow up, because you don't want them to lose their independence. You want them to need mommy. You want them to come run to you. But they get older, they get more independent, they start spending more time on their own, and next thing you know, they're gone. That's what they don't want, because if we're not pulling the lever for them, nobody else will, until they get enough illegals here. And don't think they won't step on us as soon as they get a replacement. It's like quitting your job. You ain't quitting that job until you got another one lined up. And as soon as they got enough illegals here, they will palm every single one of us. Get the fuck out of my face. But you said I don't need you no more. I got these fools now. You're old news. What did Fergie say? You're so 2000 and late. You guys are old news. Forget about you. We got this new voting block. And you got people like Maxine Waters who run these districts that used to be full of black folks. She said, hell no, get out of here. Let these illegals come up here and gentrify your neighborhoods and push your ass out. But your Aunt Maxine, you're the same one who pulled over last year while some cops had a black dude pulled over and said, oh, I'm just making sure you're doing your job. You care so much about black folks. Well, then why do you let them get pushed out of their neighborhoods? Why do you let them do that and keep young black men out of the workforce? These entry-level jobs, McDonald's and shit like that, that's for the young to get started, and that's for older people to subsidize their Social Security. When I was a teenager, I got a job at McDonald's, and on the weekends, it was a bunch of old ladies named Pearl in the morning, wiping down the tables. How you doing, sweetheart? You want some more orange juice? And it was teenagers back there, because That's who it was for. And they talk about, well, if you work at McDonald's and you got a family of 4, you should have a livable wage. That's the thinking that keeps us here. If you got a family of 4 and you're working at McDonald's, you fucked up. And every other group of people, they can tell them that, and they take it. And they take it as constructive criticism, or they don't. But there's no one there to call. Don't say that. It's not their fault. Be quiet. Turn the lights down. Lower your voice. These are black people here. You can't talk to them like you do everybody else. You can't hold them to the same standards that everybody else is held to. That's ridiculous. But as soon as we realize that, and you kind of sink or swim, just like everybody else. We don't have a monopoly on slavery. We don't. It's been happening since people could conquer other people. We don't have a monopoly on a fucked up situation. Like I said before, everybody's life was fucked up back then. We're talking the 1800s. It was horrible for everybody. But as long as you keep treating people like they're children, that's how they're going to act. Immature. I don't get what I want to act out. I burn the city down. And they take half of Martin Luther King's quote where they say, well, Martin Luther King said rioting is a language of the unheard. That's only half of it. They didn't say the rest. He wasn't for that shit. So because you don't get what you want, or some black person gets gunned down by the cops, and if you do 5 seconds of research, oh shit, he pulled a gun, or he reached in his car, like, that's ridiculous. We are not these downtrodden, immature children, but enough of us are biting from that fruit. Enough of us are pulling the levers to keep these clowns in office, and that I don't understand. And if they want to help repair it, help by incentivizing families, not incentivizing them to run the man off when the welfare lady comes to inspect. You don't need him. You don't need a man. I've heard women say that. I heard a college-age woman tell me, I just want to get a man and get pregnant, and then he can go away, and I can raise the baby on my own. Like, this is a sitcom, and everything's going to be fine in 30 minutes. That's child abuse. You don't do that shit on purpose. But that's what they think. You don't need a man. Man's just around to give you the bump, and after that, it's all good. And as long as those checks keep coming in, and we don't value life, I don't see this shit changing.
Yep. And I always say that's why, our kids continue to grow up in the situations that they grow up in. They're being raised by single mothers, right? And the women are masculine while the men are emotional and they're feminine. The women tend to treat their little boys like they're little girls and treat the little girls like they're little boys. And it's backwards because there's no men in the house. And then you have the little girl who models after her mother, and she decides at the age of between 13 and 18 years old to go out and have a baby as well. And it creates a generation of degenerates, quite literally, a generation of this. It never stops where somebody says, enough is enough, I'm going to get married. And if you do decide to reach outside of the norm and say, you know what, I'm going to save myself until I get married to have a baby, they call you things like white. Why are you trying to be white? Why do you think you're better than us? You think you're better than us? You know how much stuff I heard growing up? Oh, you think you're better than us. Look at you. Look at the way you talk. You think you're white. And I'm like, because I want to talk like I have some sense versus talking like I'm an uneducated fool that just came off the plantation. But this is the mentality. And going back to the immigrants that are coming over here, it's all a game. Just on our southern borders, I live 30 minutes from the border. I see everything that's going on with my own eyes. I live 30 minutes from the border. All the crisis that's going on, it's real what they're talking about. We've had close to 2 million people that Border Patrol has already encountered. That is just what we have encountered. Right? What they're going to do is they're going to get these illegals over here. They're going to make it so that they can all vote, and we're going to forever be Democrat. Once we are forever Democrat, that means we're going to be a socialist dictatorship. Once that hits, it's a wrap for everybody. What's coming to America has no race on it. Like, if we keep focusing on race, we're going to die. It's over for all of us, because what they want for us, what the elites want for us, whether it's Democrat or Republican, and all of them are going to end up folding because they're going to want their money and they're going to want their power. They don't care about you. So what's going to end up happening, they're going to get all these illegals over here. They're going to vote Democrat. They're going to continue to change policies, laws, and legislations, and we're going to be forever a dictatorship. Eventually, we're going to turn into fascism. where you can't have a thought outside of what the state tells you to think. We're going to be like North Korea. If you guys have never heard about North Korea, please go look up the documentaries, because that's where America is currently going. Where if you think for yourself, they're censoring you, they're silencing you, and pretty soon they're going to be at your front door knocking, pulling you out and chopping your heads off for talking against the state. It's so bad in North Korea that if you play a piano outside of the list of music that the state gives you, they come and they kill you, and they take all of your family into concentration camps. That's where we're going. That's where we're headed. So everybody that thinks it's a good idea for all these illegals to come over, that thinks it's a good idea for these stimulus checks to continue to be cut for us, start rethinking these things, because this is literally what happened to the rest of these countries. And look at where they're at. Look at Venezuela. Look at Bolivia. Look at all these countries. Cuba. Look at them. They're suffering right now because of socialism. They were sold a dream that there's this utopia out there, and this utopia doesn't exist. If a man does not work, he should not eat, period. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, and the one thing that is a common thread through all these dictatorships is the first thing they take is your guns. It's the first thing they take, because you can't take over an armed population. That shit just ain't gonna happen. So that's the first thing they got to do. They got to take away your means to protect yourself. They're always going to have guns. You never see in any of these places where they have these mandatory buybacks like they had in Australia, where the government says, you know what, as a show of good faith, we're going to give up all of our guns first, just to show you that we're serious. Secret Service, military, all the dudes with the squiggly earpieces, we all turn in our guns to show you that we don't have any ill intent. We're not hiding nothing. Here's our guns. Let's see your guns. It's never like that. It's guys with guns standing there while you turn in your guns. And how can it be a buyback if they never bought it for you in the first place? You bought your own gun. This isn't a buyback. You're taking my shit, and you're not replacing it with anything. You're not giving me a bat or a sword or something, a stick. You're just taking my shit, but you're not giving up yours. So as soon as they find a way to take enough guns from us, that's exactly what they're going to try and do. But I don't think right now they don't want too many Ruby Ridges happening around the country, but they're working on it. Look at in Sacramento. They're talking about gun violence. It's not the gun. I got a loaded gun in my house right now. It hasn't shot anybody. It's just laying there. It's just laying there waiting for somebody to pick it up and use it. It's not gun violence. It's violence. They just happen to use a gun. It's the weapon isn't the problem. And what about I've heard up to 3 million situations a year where guns save people. So somebody has ill intent, you show that handle, you pull back that hammer, it changes everything. They're going to move on. They're not going to mess with you. These mass shootings, these are soft targets. These are festivals, schools, clubs like this was, people getting out of a club or a party. You know, where's a mass shooting at a gun show? Where's a mass shooting at Dick's Sporting Goods or Big Five where people got guns? They're evil. They're not stupid. They're not going to run up in somewhere like that. So that's what they got to do, number one. And they're chipping away at it. They got enough dumbasses out there who ain't never held a gun in their life who think, yeah, why do you need 100 rounds like Biden said? Well, what do you need 100 rounds for? Because I want it. Because I pay my taxes, because I'm an American, and because if those two reasons are good enough, because I want it. Why not? Who cares? If you ain't doing no foul shit, why do you care what I have? But they're going to chip away at that shit. You got states like California that are chipping away at that shit, making illegal gun owners jump through all kinds of hoops, and the bad guys, they back their truck up to a gun store and rip the front doors off and take their guns. They don't have waiting periods. They don't pay the background check fee. They don't do that. It only hamstrings us. And as soon as they can take enough guns away, you best believe we're going to be right there with these countries that used to tell us, Venezuela, Sweden, we got to be like them. We got to be like those socialist countries. In Venezuela, they had to release the zoo animals so people would catch them and eat them so they could have protein. And the first thing they did was take their damn guns. Everybody who has a gun isn't going to use a gun, obviously, in a bad way. Most people have it for protection. Why? Because of people like that. People who pull out their guns and spray indiscriminately into a crowd or come into your house at night. I think the government should give us a free gun every year, courtesy of the government, and a box of ammunition. Thank you very much. Why not?
I mean, does
Agreed.
anybody ever find it weird that right around the time that they start talking about taking away our guns and all this other stuff or regulating guns, mass shootings happen? So they always play on your emotion. Same thing with COVID, right? They're always going to play on your emotion first. They're going to show you things like Sandy Hook. Look at all these children. Look at these dead bodies. It's so sad. Oh my gosh, this is why we need gun control. But like you said, realize that the elites and all the people talking about gun control, they're not giving up their bodyguards. What was that one chick that was running for Congress or something like that? She was one of those BLM supporters. I forget her name. She admitted on
Oh,
camera to spending like what $250,000 on security. Do you think it was
yeah.
just security, regular security you see around here at your local stores? No, they're armed people with armed cars. They never give up their like what's her name, Elizabeth as well, when she's riding around and all of her jets flying all over the place, right? But she's talking about climate change and all this crazy crap. It's for us. It's not for them. They
Yep.
continue living their lives. The same thing with Gavin Newsom. He was having $500 plates while California was supposed to be locked down. They don't care about us. That's why I say they're all like, to me and my personal belief system, the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, they're all turning into the same thing, all of them, because they're going to keep their positions of power at the end of the day. They're going to. It's going to be up to people like you and me to start fighting what's going on. We're going to have to start getting on our school boards, city councils, Congress. We're going to have to be the ones to say that enough is enough, starting our own platforms, our own movements, because eventually all this stuff that we're doing is going to be illegal. We're not going to be able to do any of this stuff. It's going to be illegal for us to do it.
Yeah, I'm all over my kid's school. It's right down the street. I'm there all the time. The meetings, checking on the principal. We have to. We can't be asleep at the wheel because that's what they're planning on. That's what they're betting on. They need enough of us to be asleep at the wheel so they can get their hands on our kids and, like you said, turn them into a generation of perverts and degenerates and little hypochondriacs. Every time the government says, oh, you know, the temperature's too hot outside, everybody's inside, you know, shades drawn till they tell you to come out. That's what they want to do. It's like any other cult. Any other cult, every time, what is it? It's some dude who wants to do some perverted shit to people he's not supposed to do it to. Underage girls, boys, that's what it's always about. That's their end game, is perverted sex. Period. You can boil it down to that. They'll do whatever they have to do to get some. I can't speak for you, Bree, but as a young man, I remember if a young lady showed interest, we're about to go hell and high water to get to it. I was on my bike many a time, smashing 2-3 miles, whatever it took. So it's the same thing for them. Whatever it takes to get what they want, that's what they're going to do. And if there's enough of us who are like, oh, yeah, whatever you did in school today, kid, that's exactly what they want. That's why you got these Texas schools. Don't tell your parents we're having a pride parade. Wait, what? Why? Why wouldn't you tell me every single thing that you're doing in that school? This is the most precious thing that I have. There's nothing that means more to me than my children. This is it. This is the greatest thing I've ever created, and I'm going to do what I have to protect it. And that also means, you know, we don't just protect their physical body. We have to protect their innocence too. We have to allow them to hold on to their childhood as long as they can. And talking to them about weird, perverted, out of their range shit is on the list of things to not let them do.
Agreed. I want to give you a little story from, I think it was like yesterday or 2 days ago. It was probably yesterday. It's backtracking a little bit though when we're talking about the illegals. And I had a knock on my door as I was about to leave, and I looked outside the peephole, and it was just, you know, it was some dude or whatever, right, with a hat on. And I just was like, guess they're gonna have to wait because I'm in the middle of just, you know, getting ready to go out and stuff. So knocking on my door, and as I'm finally done, I'm leaving. So I open the door and walk outside, and it's like this little Hispanic dude. And I don't know how you might have been in his young 20s, but I'm looking at him like, fuck you knocking on my door for? And not a lick of English at all. And he's like, Luis? And I'm like, no, there's no Luis here. Like, why the fuck are you knocking on my door? Right? And anyways, I bring this up to say that I also work security, so I'm checking IDs a lot. And when I tell you that Biden letting illegals in this country and shipping them off into cities everywhere is really happening, it's really happening. Because there's a lot of people here who should not be here at all.
Yep.
And whether they have family members here or whatnot is besides the point. The point is that I'm starting to see this a whole lot more now than I've ever have before. And it's like getting closer to home. So I'm pretty sure there's plenty of other people with, stories similar to that of just coming across people who are not from here. And they have probably nobody at all, because this even happened to me at my job. Dude just walking around the promenade and stuff, illegal.
Yeah.
No English.
There's no need to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you get something and you don't work for it, you don't appreciate it. You just hop the fence, if there is any fence left, and you just come here and steal the American dream, it doesn't mean shit to you. But when you got to pay money, you got to wait, you got to study, you got to hold your place in line until you get a spot, that shit means something to you. You're gonna assimilate. You're gonna respect it. You're gonna learn the language. You're gonna learn the culture. You're gonna adopt that culture as your own. Because it's not just coming to live here. It's they just want to be in America. They don't want to be American, and that's a problem. Because when you have that, they don't add anything to your society. They just take away. And when Trump was talking about they're sending their rapists, yeah, they are. 80% of girls that come over the border take contraception before they leave because they know what's going to happen. So if you rape a girl, that makes you a rapist. And if you come over here, that means they're sending rapists. And by sending, yes, they go to these poor towns, hand out paperwork to tell you what to do and where to go. They're getting rid of their undesirables. They don't want them, so they send them up here. But try to go into Mexico and outstay your welcome. Try to overstay your visa. They will send people to look for you and come get you and remove you. And when you come in there, you got to show financial records, your criminal history, your mental history, what you'll be doing and how long you're going to be staying. And when it's over, get your ass up out of here. Let them find a Guatemalan in their country illegally. We're about to round all you little Oaxacas up and get you up out of here quick. But if we do it, we're racist and you can't be doing that. Why? Every other country does it. And Bree, when you mentioned Sandy Hook, this is going back a little bit, but it just came to mind. When you mentioned, damn it, I just lost my train of thought.
It'll come back.
Yeah, well, but anyway, the illegals, when they come here, they don't add to the American dream. They just steal from it. They take from us. They take our spots. My wife, a couple years ago, she was sitting in traffic. She got rear-ended. She pulled over. You know how we do. We exchange insurance and stuff like that. Are you okay? This illegal dude, he grabbed his two kids out the car. He just started walking right down the road. Left his car. Didn't ask my wife if she was okay. So America is a culture. You know, we're judging how we treat our children, elderly, and animals. And you don't just cross that invisible line and be like, okay, I'm American, because you didn't work for that shit. The legal age of consent in Mexico is 12. That's a problem here. That's a crime here. But since you just, you didn't want to be here, you didn't have to work for it, so you're not going to change. You're going to bring that culture here. And I'm going to go on record as saying some cultures are better than others. All cultures are not equal. Some are better. Some cultures are shitty. Some cultures you can knock your wife out if you want to. That's not what we do here. So some cultures are better, and people want to take part in our culture, but you got to wait. And it's funny to see black folks championing illegal immigration when we are hurt first and worst by it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to say something to that really quick before I lose this. I'm sorry, and then I'll let you talk. Over here at the border, there was a 12-year-old, and this is how bad it is at the border. It's terrible. There was a 12-year-old that was coming over, right? And when they get here, what they do to them is they do wellness checks on them. So they take them to the dentist, they take them to the doctor. If they need glasses, they get them glasses. People don't know actually how good the immigrants are treated once they cross this border. But anyways, there was a 12-year-old that crossed the border, and they did a swab on her because she had been raped. She had 22 different semens inside of her, at least 22 different. So when people talk about a border crisis and what's going on with Joe Biden, it is real what's going on. And these are babies, mind you, that are crossing. And they're being raped and they're being handled like this. This type of stuff breaks my heart. And they're allowing this stuff to happen so that they could stay in power. Do you think they care about the 12-year-old, about the 18-month-old that was just thrown in our river? There was an 18-month-old thrown in our river, and the Border Patrol had to hop in the river and grab the baby out because the baby was drowning. And then they found 2 more children underneath the bridge that they had to rescue. This is what's going on. So when people talk about Trump being racist, and the reason why Trump said what he said is because the MS-13 gang, they had come up here to Houston, and they had just got done raping a girl and burning her body. That's what he was speaking and referring to about. When he said that they bring over their rapists and their murderers, he wasn't joking. That's what they do. I'm in a heavy drug trafficking and heavy crime area. It's real. Like all of our pulgas and stuff that we have down here, I don't know if you guys know what a pulga is, but all of our pulgas that we have down here, they're ran by sex trafficking victims. Guys, it's serious what's going on.
Oh, and my Sandy Hook point, what I wanted to say is back in the 70s, Israel had a problem with school shootings. They put armed guards at all their schools. I challenged someone to find me the last school shooting they had in Israel. So you put people there with guns, and the armed guards weren't armed with sticks, they're armed with guns. So the bad guy with guns say, school A, no guards, school B, guards. Guess what school they're going to pick? But over there, they all got guards, so there's nowhere to do it. There's no soft target, so they go away. They can't bring them out whenever they need a distraction or whatever, they're about to get run out during the midterms or something like that. But that's the thought that I lost on that. When you have armed guards, the bad guys don't come around. Imagine that.
Yeah, but also when you have armed citizens, the bad guys don't come around.
They don't.
When you disarm the citizens, you can do whatever the hell you want. We've seen this in movies. We've seen this in real life. And there's no logical sense being made to say that, yeah, we need to put a regulation or have gun control. It's just that whole term in itself, control, is a problem. Gun control.
Yeah.
Also, Jericho, I have a story that's opposite of yours when it comes to getting in an accident. So you said that family walked off. This family decided they were hurt all of a sudden. And yeah, just my arm, my leg,
my back.
They went, yeah,
my back.
Yeah, they do that. They do that too. So I thought that was hilarious because they were fine when they got out the car. I want to hop over to a couple of spitball topics, and then I'll let you go off for 2 minutes each one.
Hey.
LJ, we're going to have you hop off. We're going to leave that open for anybody who wants to hop on video to ask Jericho any questions, and then we'll start to close out.
Can I say something really quick about the questions? When you guys come in, please keep the question short, and then also let's be mindful and respectful of our guest that is on here as well.
Yeah, because Jericho will roast your ass, though.
Yeah, people like to get on and they like to start debating and trying to be disrespectful. I've been on way too many lives lately where people just go off, and I'm like, no, not on this live.
Yeah, we're not here for that. So, Bree, you can see the request. I cannot, and I don't know if there's any questions or anything there in the question bar. So. Go ahead and start sending your guys' video requests, and I'll put the timer on. And I want you, Jericho, just go off first things on your mind. We'll probably do about 10 of these or something like that, just to get people in here warmed up. All right. So, starting now, don't say gay.
Man, that's a bunch of bullshit too, because that's not even what it says. It's not even about saying gay. It's about not talking about sexuality and things of a sexual nature with children between the grades of kindergarten and 3rd grade, or the ages of 5 and 8 or 9. That's disgusting. That is gross. That is perverted. Children, that's why when they're that young, if a little boy and a little girl, let's say 5 years old, had long hair and they were turned around, you couldn't tell which is which. If you talked to them on the phone, you couldn't tell whether it was a boy or a girl because, for lack of a better word, they're nothing at that age. They haven't gone either way. They're just children. They're innocent little children. Let them be. And God forbid you leave the heavy lifting for the parents. I don't need you talking to my kids about no trans nothing or no LGBT alphabet soup group. There's only one alphabet you focus on, the whole alphabet. Not these little acronyms for these groups and all that weird shit. That's too much for them. They're not ready for that yet. You're pushing them into things they're not ready for. And like I said, that's the parent's job. Back up, all right? Back the fuck up. Get away from my kids, all right? I got this. You do the lightweight shit. Colors, shapes, letters, hi, you want to be my friend? All that kind of shit. Real light. Being a kid should be easy. Shouldn't be traumatic. They shouldn't be weighed down with shit. They're kids. Life at some point is going to spread its distended anus and shit all over them, okay? It's coming. But until then, let's protect those kids and keep them as just that. Little, innocent kids. That shit is gross. But they call this shit like that, don't say gay, like they're going to have a bill. Like somebody's going to write a bill in this day and age that says you cannot say the word gay. Because gay people, they're just still hordes of people with pitchforks and torches outside of their homes ready to drag them out. And it's like that, but not in America. Slow your fucking roll. It's not like that in America. Where else would you want to be gay? Tell me the country right now. And you can't say Canada, because Canada is basically America.
All right, so that's the 2 minutes. We're gonna put this. You actually going pretty fast, so we'll just put it at 1 minute. How's 1 minute for you?
It's all good, man. Whatever you want to do.
All right, 1 minute. All right, cool. No, you're killing it right now. So we'll do 1 minute. See what you can do in 1 minute. All right, so starting now. Elon Musk buying Twitter.
Is Elon Musk man of the fucking year? Is that what we're going to have to vote this man as? And he's an American citizen, but of course it's going to take somebody who was born outside of America to help save America. Because this is a big deal. I'm not saying he's going to do everything on his own, but this is a big deal. First of all, for him to come out and say that wokeism is a detriment to world society. For him to say that, for him to be an elite because of his money, but him to be an elite and to say shit like that, that's already making big changes. But to get 9.2% of that shitty company, and now he's on the board, I can't wait, man. Elon Musk, you're invited to Christmas dinner.
All right. Next, Jumanji Brown Jackson.
Holy shit. Look, man, if she were white, they would be up in her ass like a bike with no seat. But because she's draped in multiple layers of victimhood, these are the Republicans, these are the rhinos we were talking about. Because when this shit started, they started off by saying, look, Jumanji, that's what I call her. Look, Jumanji, we're not going to say this. We're not going to say that. We're going to do, don't tell her shit. Don't do what they did to Kavanaugh and to I can't remember the lady's name. Don't do what they did to them. Don't drag out the bullshit. But give her the hard-hitting questions. See how she performs under pressure. And if you ask her, what is a woman? And she says, I'm not a biologist, you give her the business. She's going to be a damn Supreme Court justice. What the fuck? I bet you Clarence Thomas was sitting there like, what's this shit? You guys gave me the business. Man, please. Jumanji Brown Jackson. False. Fake justice.
All right. Next topic, Hunter Biden's laptop.
Come on, man. Come on. We all know that shit is real. Well, just imagine for a second, if you will. Close your eyes and imagine if Hunter Biden's name was Trump Jr. or Eric Trump. Come on, that's all they would be talking about is what's in that laptop. The big guy, this would have kept Biden out of office, but they couldn't have that. That's why they buried it. That's why now, a year in his presidency, they're drudging this shit back up. That's the smoking gun. That's the treasure trove. I bet there's all kinds of crazy shit in there. And to be honest, I don't care if he smokes crack and bangs chicks, whatever, as long as they're over 18. But when you're talking about the big guy and a percentage and Ukrainian business, that's the shit we need to be focused on. Bust that thing open. That shit is like Pulp Fiction when they open it and the golden light came out of it. That's what that laptop is. Let's see what's in there.
All right. Russia, Ukraine.
Like the old, I think it's a Somali proverb that says, when two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. That's why I feel bad for the people. I feel bad for the Russian people getting squeezed because the ruble already wasn't worth shit. But these sanctions are making it harder for them. Those sanctions are making it hard on us. Our own government's fucking us. And you got people like them saying, hey, just buy electric. Just find another extra $30,000, $40,000 in your car budget and buy electric. Shannon Sharp, I'll pay $20 a gallon before I let Trump back in. You stupid son of a bitch. It's terrible. The Ukrainian people, they're being bombed to death. That's who I feel bad for. Zelensky, he's a turd too. He's just like Putin. They're both dictators. You can't jail your competition. You can't shut down the radio stations saying shit you don't want them to say. That's a dictator. The dictator that all these left-wing psychos cry about, he exists, just not here. But the Ukrainian people, those are the only ones I feel bad for. And how the fuck the president of Ukraine during a war has time to cut a promo at the Grammys?
Good question. That shit caught me off guard. I was like, really? This is what we're doing now? Unreal. Gas and oil.
Gas is high as giraffe pussy, and that is a shame, and it shouldn't be. In California, this is where we refine that shit. This is where we make gas, and we're paying more for gas than anybody else. And then just like the remember a couple years ago, your 4th of July celebration is 16 cents cheaper. Why are you not thanking me? I dropped your party budget by 16 cents. Just like saying they're going to repeal the gas tax to help us at the pump. That's only 18 cents a gallon. That ain't shit. In California, they want to give us a $400 gas rebate card, even if you don't drive. And whose money is that? You're taking $400 out of my left pocket and putting it in my right pocket. It's a disaster. And for Biden to blame that on Putin is bullshit. The gas prices were going up before Putin invaded Ukraine. Explain that, you jittery old bastard. Explain that. We should be paying, we got more oil under the ground than all the other oil producing countries combined.
All right. Next topic, racism.
We are not a racist country, but racism does exist. As long as there's people, we're going to find a way to separate ourselves into subgroups. Yes, there are racist people. There's 325 million of us. But a racist country, no. Racism is dead. Gun to your head to write 25 things that affect your life. I guarantee you racism isn't one of them. That's what they tried out to tug on people's heartstrings, emotions, racism. That's the well they can always go to. COVID can fail. Wars can fail. Policies can fail. But that's our dip that bucket, get that bucket, dip it in that racism well, and every time you'll pull up a full bucket. That's their go-to. That's their ultimate safety net. And why we keep falling for that shit? I don't understand what other group of people give a shit about what anybody thinks of them, but us. Racism, white people are racist, but I gotta have their approval. I gotta have their support. Uplift me, listen to me, believe me.
All right, someone put in there food shortages, so I'll let you go on that one.
I'm not afraid to sound like an elitist. I'm American. I don't do food shortages. That's not what we do. I've never experienced that in my life. That is un-American. What the fuck are we talking about? My wife was ordering some shit online. They limited you to 1 pound of ground beef.
Yeah.
How are we only letting people have 1 pound of ground beef and we got Texas? We got Chicago. We got how are we short on beef? But it's not us. Again, we get caught up and swept up in our government's policies and their misdeeds and their mistakes. How? We are America. We don't do shortages. This is beneath us. But it's going to be. And then you're going to see that they might be doing this so they can have the government come out and take charge of us. Because if food's short, people can't eat. That's going to be a fucking problem. I got kids at home and you're reaching for that last head of lettuce. That might be a problem, but this is the problem that they want.
Agreed. Last one. Eric Adams. That's the answer we all knew was coming.
You fucking New Yorkers, you got rid of a 12-inch dildo to replace it with an 8-inch dildo because you guys are still getting fucked. Did you hear that man put up billboards in Florida to tell gay people to come up to New York? He don't even take care of the New Yorkers he already has. And he wants to bring up more? Well, they got your kids wearing cloths over their face, got you losing your job because you won't take the poke, and he's worried about bringing some more people up here? That dude is a colossal piece of shit, and he's racist too. Remember he sat up there and said, man, when I was a cop, I used to kick those crackers' ass. Let some white cop get up there and say, man, when I was a cop, I used to kick those niggas' ass. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, somebody be standing outside of their office with a box full of their shit, wouldn't they? But not us. Let them go. It's not their fault. Racism. Let them say what they want. Treat them like children.
Everything's racist. I love it. Everything is racist.
That's their go-to.
I swear, as quote unquote black people, I feel like we could get away with so much shit if we just start using that. Just be like, oh, so what? You gonna tell me I can't get a free shirt? Are you a racist?
But why? Doesn't that make you feel unclean? I don't like that. I don't like this. Oh, we're going to get you back now. Now we're in power. I don't like that shit. Don't do that. Shit happened in the past. Oh, hey, you got me. You got me, Jim Crow. Mm-hmm. But let's move on from that shit. This is not Jim Crow 2.0. And what a slap in the face. When they call voting rights, which we should have the strictest voting laws on the fucking planet. Our voting laws aren't strict enough. They got illegals in New York and San Francisco voting in school board elections. Just school board, that's all. Why are you guys tripping? They're just electing school. It's just a school, right? That's how that shit starts. Our voting laws aren't strict enough, but for them to say that is, the president of the United States got on TV and said, that is Jim Crow 2.0. So them telling you to be here at a certain time and bring some ID is the same as some Klan member putting a bomb in the basement of a church and killing little girls. That's the same thing. That's what they're saying. That's the same thing as a German shepherd hanging off your forearm, tearing meat from bone. That's the same thing. Are you fucking kidding me? So those people went through that shit for nothing? If you could go back and say, look, here, show them an iPad. This is how black folks are going to treat the fruits of your labor. Do you think they would do it? I wouldn't. You mean they're not going to care? They're going to say that we did nothing? Fuck them. Might as well. We say we're living in 1920, Black Wall Street.
But this is what happened too. Can I just make a comment on that? When you become intellectually lazy and you depend on people to feed you information, this is what happens. Because you could easily go pull the laws and read about what they're trying to pass. It's not hard. Like, you could just go pull them and read them, but the problem is they know 9 out of 10 people are not going to go do their own research. So they can tell you things like they're trying to stop black people from voting, and you're just going to run with it and not really go look up the law yourself and see what they're actually trying to do.
But when we look at these Trump rallies and stuff, right, we see white people, we see black people, we see Asians, we see Indians, we see all, even in other countries, there's people who support Trump. And that's because Trump signifies freedom. That's just what he's, America first, putting your country first and the people in them is what other people in other countries want for them and where they are. And it's just like the symbol. So it's not even necessarily that people are supporting Trump. They're supporting freedom. And these people, as you can see, can't even think for themselves. They couldn't tell you one policy that I can't even tell you one policy Kamala Harris has put in place because I don't think she's put in any.
Kamala can't tell you anything. She's the border czar. She's the border czar, and she's never been to the border. So that's like you being a pit master, but you never barbecued shit. So how good of a pit master are you? Where'd you get that title? Like, what? How? When we went to bed Tuesday, November 8th, and it was in the bag, 2020. It was in the bag. And we wake up the next morning, and all of a sudden, they found a couple 100,000 votes, all for one dude. Come on, man. And I've asked people, who voted for Biden. How could you, way before he got elected, back in on the campaign trail, when we started getting these verbal gems from him, how can you listen to that man talk for 5 minutes and have confidence in how he's going to run the country? The man said, he was in the middle of a sentence and he said, anyway. Right. You can't do that.
Oh God.
This isn't America, the fucking sandwich company. This is America, the #1 country on earth. You know how many people want us to do good in the world? How many other countries got their fingers crossed for us? Because if we do bad, the world does bad. We're propping up a lot of economies. We're keeping a lot of people safe. We are the only thing between invasion and freedom to a lot of countries. Some countries don't even have military. They use our military. They don't even have that shit. So a lot of people are riding on America. A lot of people got their hopes riding on us. 80% of Canada's economy is reliant on us. So there's a lot of people that want us to do well. But somehow, these borderline retarded people, a small group, they got the tallest soapbox and the loudest bullhorn. And I don't get it. I really don't understand how we fell down this hole so quickly. 10 years ago, they're doing a what parade in school? Man, get out of here with that shit. There's no way they're going to do that. Wait, 15 years ago? You mean to tell me this dude can't get through a teleprompter speech and he's president? Get out of here. Yeah, that shit is happening so quick. And Kamala, who is she? Is she, because when she got sworn in as senator, she was the first Indian American senator. But when she was running for president, she was the first black, whatever the fuck she was. That she has no conviction. She believes in nothing. Whatever suit, when she goes from one event to the next, she tears like an NBA warm-up suit. She tears that shit away, and then she, well, what? Oh, these are young. Okay, hand me some Timbs. Let me put some Timbs on. All right, what the kids listening to? Tupac? All right, cool. Tim's Tupac. Yeah, I was smoking bud, listening to Tupac when I was in college. Who the fuck would say that? Which one of her handlers would send her out there with that information? Knowing damn good and well Tupac wasn't rapping in 1986. But that's what she said. Now, either the people who she was talking to are so stupid that she didn't even check her facts, or she don't even give a fuck. And then for her to say she's smoking bud, knowing all the people, all the black men that she cares so much about. She went to an HBCU. All the black men she put in jail for weed? That don't make no sense, but she's #2. Our top 3 look like shit. Biden, Kamala, and Nancy Pelosi. And who's Nancy's nephew? Gavin Bang Your Wife Newsom. So if she's too old, Biden, he rides off into the sunset finally to feed ducks stale bread. So we got Kamala's #1, and then Nancy's like, well, I'm too old for that. But I got this guy you might know. He could be your vice president. Kamala Newsom ticket? Fuck. China's just going to take their napkin, stuff it in their shirt, get their chopsticks, and start picking our bones clean. Fuck, man.
It's funny, but it shouldn't be. You know what I mean? But it's like, you ask for this when you don't take action. You ask for it. I was talking to Bree, actually. This was probably a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about, getting involved in your local elections and being more, like, there needs to be more of, there's no reason why Gavin Newsom should be where he's at. No reason. I mean, we had Larry Elder, right?
Man.
But even though we had Larry Elder, it's like, that's cool, that's great, that's fantastic, but what about us? Like, fuck Gavin Newsom. Like, why don't I run? At this point, why don't I run? Right? Why don't Sam down the street and Nathan and Greg run? Like, why are we not being more involved in our own elections to make sure that we get these demons out of power, out of this position? It should be happening a lot more, and that's why I see community, right? When we start talking about this and uniting, let's just stop talking about it and actually just do it. Because at this point, it's cool to have the conversations. It's cool to be around like-minded people who understand what's going on, but you're still sitting. You're still watching television. You're still, instead of looking at Larry Elder right, from your sofa, why don't you get out there and do what he's doing? You know what I'm saying? Like this,
Yeah.
this shouldn't just be in California. This should be all over the United States. Stop letting these people destroy your way of life. And it doesn't matter how far that goes. I was in Japan in 2014, and I had a simple conversation with some people out there. You know, it was cool. We were sitting down, having a couple of drinks, and I was in like my early 20s at that time. And they asked, you know, how's America? You know, like they've never been. And I said, yeah, I mean, there's some beautiful places, and then there's some ugly places, you know, just like everywhere you're going to go.
Mm-hmm.
But now looking back, I started to think like America is fucking amazing. And you want to know why it's amazing? Because even though they're so disciplined in a country like Japan and in cities like Tokyo, right? They're so disciplined. They care about their food. I would even say they care about their people health-wise. America is still, in a sense, way better because they're looking at America as if that's where they want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm like, yeah.
This is the greatest show on earth, man. It really is. And we got our problems. Holy shit, we got problems. But this is still the best thing going, man. And I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. And that's another thing, man, traveling. I wish people would travel. Go see the rest of the world. And you don't have to go to anywhere bad. But I mean, whatever, if you do that, that'll help too. But just travel the rest of the world and see how other people live and see how other people view us and see the envy that people have that, man, you're from America. That's, you know, no one ever says, man, when I get big, I want to go to Canada and make it big. No, Mom, one day I'm going to go to Zimbabwe. Nobody ever says that shit. They all want to come here because it's the greatest show. And it is. And again, we get misrepresented by our fucking politicians. The shit they say, the shit they believe, the average everyday American is just as pissed as me and you are about that shit. But they're the ones out on the world stage, you know, touting their message. But people need to travel, man, and see how good you have it in America. We don't know poverty. Our poor people got diabetes from eating too much damn sugar. Our poor have more than one TV. Our poor have vehicles. We don't know poor. This is American poor. There's places so damn poor that we got panhandlers out here, a sign, will work for food. There's no one to beg from. There's no one to get money from. There's piles of trash and rodents and feral dogs running around. And people in some villages in India got to wear those masks on the back of their head so the tigers won't jump on their back and eat them. We got it good here. Let
me add on to that real quick, Jericho. I just want to say this, that and I haven't been to New York, but I've seen even rats out here in California. When the rats are fat,
bruh,
there's no, you know what I'm saying? There's no way.
Bruh, let me tell you.
They're eating something.
That reminds me of something, man. So I was living in this town called Marina, and there is a college there, CSUMB, Cal State University, Monterey Bay. And in Marina, it's near Monterey, and that's where a lot of the student housing is. So one night I was coming home, and the night before, some friends came by, and they brought some, like, Pizza Hut or some shit. I was like, man, I ain't no Pizza Hut. So we ate a little bit of it and tossed that shit. So I come home the next night, and I pull up, and my headlights hit the trash can, and these raccoons hop out of the trash can. And I look in the trash can, they didn't even touch the pizza. That's how good we got it. Our scavengers are picky. And Raccoon said, I ain't no fucking Pizza Hut. That's how good we got it, people. And people need to get out and see other parts of the world to put that shit in perspective. Shit, we can sit on here and say Joe Biden's a piece of shit and he needs to be run out of office. And in some countries, you can't say that. Somebody will appear behind you with a burlap sack, and where'd they go? I don't know. Your phone call, rights. You're just gone. I saw a documentary in a South African village. The police were looking for somebody. They pulled up in a paddy wagon, took about 5 dudes. That was it. Never to be heard from again. We got recourse here. We got recourse. Somebody steals something from you. Somebody does something to you. There's people you can call. We got it so good here. People forget that shit. You young people, get your ass out there and see the world. You will come back, step off that plane, and kiss the ground. For real. We need to be nationalists. You need to believe that your country is the best. You believe that shit, and you'll act that way. We are the best. We're the most kind and most generous country in world history. Let some country where their buildings are made out of mud and shit have an earthquake and 15,000 people are dead. Who's the first one over there sending cadaver dogs? Who's the first one, hashtag this, text blah, blah, blah to Red Cross to donate? That's us. That's not our government. That's American people being kind and helping people out. Greatest country on earth, and sometimes you got to leave it to see how good you got it.
Yep, that's why I always say the caravans only go one way, right? There's a reason why everybody is flooding to come to America. And it just so
Yep.
happens, I think it's what the Nigerians, they happen to be the most prosperous people to come over to America, the most prosperous, because they understand something about our system. They have a work ethic for one, and for two, they
Yep.
understand that if they can just get to America, they can make it. They can become doctors, they can become lawyers, they can become nurses, they can dominate our medical fields, right? And they don't mind living with their family. So you're making 75,000, I'm making 75,000. We're going to come together. We're going to open up our own businesses and our own practices, and we're going to create a generational wealth. They're going to take advantage of our systems, and we'll sit here and cry to our government and tell our government
Mhm.
that they're not giving us enough handouts. And these people are coming over here and looking for ways to dominate us. They come over here and they create groups. You have an Asian group when they get over here, Filipino, Chinese, Japanese, you have Nigerians, you have Haitians. They all stay within their community. Why? Because they understand that if they can create generational wealth right there, they will become prosperous. And then thus they bring the rest of their family to come over.
Chain migration. Yep.
I knew a guy who owned a corner store, right? As soon as his because they have like, I think it's like 7 to 10 years, they can come over here, they can open up a business, they do not have to pay taxes. What they do is they set up their families, they'll get their cousin at the end of those years that are coming up, they'll send over their cousin, bring their cousin over here, sign the business over to them, and then they'll live tax free. We don't take advantage of our own system. We sit here in the streets and we cry and we burn down our own cities. And these people are coming over here looking at us like we're fools. But guess what? They're the ones that are getting into the medical field. They're the ones that are getting on our school boards. They're the ones that are getting into our Congress. They are the ones. So pretty soon America won't look like America, and a lot of Americans don't understand that these people don't think like us. Go to the
Nope.
Middle East and try that stuff. We want a first Black African American vice president. They will kill you over that. Go to the Middle East and try that transgender gay rights stuff. They will throw you off a building. America's the only place that you can pull this crap. Nobody else does that. Go to Japan and try to march in their streets and talk about your sex changes and your gay rights. Do you know what they'll do to you over there? So it is true. We live in the greatest country where we can cry about things, where we can talk about Joe Biden all day long and nobody's going to come and murder us or murder our children. We have those rights, but we're not taking advantage of America the way that we should. And this is why America is falling. America is falling because we're literally being poisoned from within. We are the greatest country ever. How are we falling so fast? If we're falling so fast, we have to take a look at ourselves and say, it's not Russia, it's not India, it's not China. There's something happening from within that is killing us. So, sorry guys, I said all that, but I want to get to the viewers' questions because they have been waiting quite some time. The first one says, what is one thing that you would like everybody to know about you that they don't already know?
Well, my life's an open book. Man, I don't know. I mean, there are
You're like,
things
go
about
watch my YouTube.
there are things about me that people don't know, but I don't necessarily want them to know. Shoot, I don't know. I don't. I mean, I pretty much talk about everything. My kids and how I see shit. I mean, just I don't know. That's a really good question. I don't really have an answer to that. I don't know something. I mean, I can't think of anything important enough that anybody would want to know about me that they don't already know. My brother's half Mexican. There we go. Didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, my brother's half Mexican.
You're like, he's half legal and half.
Oh man, don't think I didn't give his ass some business growing up. We called him Blaxican all the time. Yeah, it was terrible. But he's my older brother, so he fucked me up all the time. So, but yeah, my brother's half Mexican.
Okay, and
Yeah,
the
that's
next
news.
question is, why do you think so many Gen Zs are still wearing their mask everywhere, especially in the SoCal?
Because they are pussies. Because they are a generation of, they're the participation trophy generation. They're the, my feelings are super important generation. How I feel is more important than this institute that I'm in, whether it be school or business. How I feel is important, more important than, this machine called the community that we're trying to keep moving forward. I think that's what it is. I think, like you said before, you fill the halls with these silver ponytail Hawaiian shirt wearing Subaru driver professors, and this is what you get. They eat that shit up. They have your kids for a little bit of time, and they poison their minds. That's why they think. Why wouldn't they rely on their own knowledge, do their own homework? This is the cell phone generation, right? This is the internet generation. Why wouldn't they be all over that shit knowing the truth? It's because they think they're being told the truth, and they're docile, and they've accepted, in the Matrix, when they plug that thing into the back of their head, they're plugged in, man. They don't see it any other way. Whatever they're told, that's what they're going to do. And we are a society of rule followers. We have to be, to a certain extent, to be civil with each other. But after that 2 weeks to slow the curve shit, we should have been, start looking around like, okay, what's really going on? And look at who's pushing it, and look at how they're pushing it, how ferocious they are with their get this or else, do this or else, shut down your business. And 9 times out of 10, if you look at who's pushing it, go in the opposite direction and you'll be fine. When these out of touch elitist monsters start pushing this shit, and it was the poke or nothing. Not get outside, get in touch with Mother Nature, feed yourself better. They were telling people, if you get this shot, we will give you 1 free year of Krispy Kreme donuts. We will give you a free year of McDonald's, but we care about your body. How the fuck is that? So this is who they are. They're the give me the shot for the year of free donuts group.
Yep. And then the next question is, have any of you ever been left? Now, I will be the first one to answer this. I actually was left, and that is what changed me from,
Oh, wow.
from being left. I voted for Obama in 2008. I held hands with my mom. I remember it like it was yesterday. We thought Black Jesus was coming to save the world. I sure did. So there was a time in my life that I was. And then when I saw all the rhetoric that he was pushing, he was supposed to be a Christian man, and then he turned pro-abortion, gay rights, when he lit up the White House and rainbows.
Come on.
I was blown away. And then what really made me second guess all this stuff is I saw all these people who said that they were Christians and they were believers. And then when I started reading the Bible and reading the Word of God, I saw how Obama did not line up with the Word of God. He was actually the exact opposite. He was an abomination. And I saw all these Christians following him, and I said, what the heck is this? And so once I started learning more, because knowledge is power, right? And I started seeing that being a conservative lines up more with biblical values than it does being a Democrat. The Democrats are for socialism. The Bible says a man that does not work should not eat. The Bible says that the Word of God says he hates the hands that shed innocent blood. So how can you be for abortion? How can you be for somebody that is for same-sex marriage? And God literally destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. It makes no sense to me. So when I saw the hypocritical worldview that they were living under, I said, no. That's what changed my life around. That's what literally seeing people in the church support Obama made me run the other way.
You know, there's something to be said about the night Obama won the election. That was a special night. That was a powerful moment, especially for people like in our parents' age group who will come from a time where that just wasn't foreseeable. You just didn't see it for a variety of reasons. A president with a skin tone like that was just not something they thought was possible. So that was a very powerful moment. That was before we learned who Barack Obama was, but that was a powerful moment. That was a special moment. That should be compartmentalized by itself, aside from what ended up being his pregnancy. But as soon as I saw Michelle Obama's arms, I knew what he was about. She had those
Yeah, you
traps,
know,
the triceps.
I
she got the
have nice.
biceps, triceps.
Well, I think maybe that's like a melanated woman thing, like because some of us just have naturally good arms. Like I
That,
don't even have to work out, and I have like naturally good arms.
but
So
there's Angela Bassett arms, and then there's Michelle Obama arms.
Angela
Mhm.
Bassett, though, like oh my gosh, let's not even get started the way that that
Um,
woman looks. Like wow, like she looks amazing.
Black
Halle,
girl magic.
Halle Berry for me. Halle Berry, high school, forget it. Let's not talk about that too much.
I
But yeah,
think I don't really have much of a story in that sense because I've never been on either side of the spectrum. I've never been political. I've never been religious. I have always just been someone who I would say sees everything from a certain perspective. So, for an example, the family members were Democrat. They've always said, "Yeah, we vote Democrat" or whatever, blah blah blah. But I've always had a mind of my own, and I remember especially when they said that was when it was Bush versus Gore,
mhm.
and I remember them saying, yeah, you know, we vote Democrat, so they were voting for Gore. Now Bush ended up being a fucking shithead anyway, even though he was, you know, presented to be the Republican Party. But now when you look at Bush, who's he hanging around with? Bill Clinton, Barack Obama. These are one and the same type of people. So that kind of brings me to my point is that I was never for one or the other. I was never left. I was never right. I would just look at what people would do. And Bill Clinton was a shithead. George Bush and his dad were both shitheads. Obama was a shithead. But to capitalize on what Jericho said, I agree with everything you said in terms of the symbology of having a quote unquote black man as president was good for the morale, right? But that was also good for the brainwashing. So I wasn't even old enough to vote at that time. I think I was about 17 or 18 in 2008. But the symbology of Barack Obama being president was good, right? It was just good for us. But that's the problem is that we go, yeah, we got a black man in there. You know, he's gonna fight for us. He hasn't done one thing till this day for black people, and he continues to not do one thing for black people. And apparently, he's from Chicago, or at least resided in Chicago at some point. He hasn't done shit for Chicago. Chicago is a fucking shithole. So there's nothing about that man that should be celebrated at all. Not
Yep.
from us, not from any skin color in the country that has no reason to celebrate Barack Obama. I had somebody tell me that they liked Obama because he was a family man. And when I started digging, yeah, right. Now, two things with that, though. Two things is, number one, we don't really know anything about the family because the media never reported on any of that. Who knows what that man was doing or what's really going on with all that because the media has never put any stories about his family out there for us to see. So that's number one. And then number two is when you really start digging and go down a rabbit hole, you see that those two girls are probably not even really his kids. So that's what we would call a conspiracy theory, right? For a lot of people who probably don't know about it. But I would say there's a lot of validity there anyway. So just that whole man's whole history is a mystery, so to speak. But anyways, just to make a long story short, I've never been left. I've never been right. I just have always been, I would say, awake, and I've always done my own research, and I've always kind of having like my brother, my older brother, who was also always awake. as well, who was looking into stuff like in the early 2000s, like Project Camelot and all this stuff, right? We knew about a lot of this stuff years ago, like a long time ago. So I've never been a political person at all. But the politics of it is the surface level. So now it's obvious to see what these people are doing. And it's easy for you to see that the Democrats are the ones who are leading the push into this great reset, new world order, whatever else you want to call it.
Yeah, I never needed a red pill moment. I've always, my parents always drilled into me, it's on you, good or bad, it's on you. If you want it, go get it. If you don't go get it, you ain't gonna have it. There's no mythical white man out there holding you down. I had a teacher in high school who was on the you got to work twice as hard as the white man shit, and I was lucky to have that juxtaposition against what I had at home. My parents weren't telling me that shit. My parents weren't feeding into that. My parents were telling me you're just like everybody else and don't blame anybody else. And when you have that, it usually keeps you conservative. You're usually on that side of the fence. You're not for no handouts. And again, pride can be a bad thing, but pride can also help. Like, why would you want to accept help from somebody when you don't need it? You don't need help. You're able-bodied. You're in America. Get the fuck out there. Period. That's it. That's all you need. It works for all these people who I knew somebody who came from Africa and they had everything all their valuables were inside of Gatorade bottles because Gatorade bottles are waterproof. And when they'd have the monsoons and the water would come through and wash their village away, they could always find their shit in the debris and it would still be dry. Who in this country has had to put their belongings in a Gatorade bottle? We piss in Gatorade bottles. That's how good we have it. If once we're done drinking out of them, we either throw them away or piss in them. We don't have to put our valuables in a Gatorade bottle. Like, what? That's how beautiful it is. And once you know that from the jump, you'll never have a need for a red pill moment. And now, man, they don't even care. There's no fear of consequence. That's why they do and say all this stupid, crazy shit. That's why you have Cory Booker damn near masturbating in front of Jumanji Brown Jackson, the way he was acting. Dude, I needed a cigarette after watching that, and I wasn't even there. That shit was disgusting, all right? But that's the mindset they want us to be in. And they want us to be impressed by unimpressive shit. Okay, a black woman's running for Supreme Court justice. Big deal. You see white people acting like that when a white person was running? No. But that's the kind of shit they want to keep us in. They want us to keep us in that mindset and away from the red pill moment. But fortunately, due to my strong family structure and having my dad there, I didn't have to fuck with that at all.
And I just want to say something to that. Our grandparents were conservative. Like, they were not liberals, leftists. They believed in the family. They believed in getting married before having children. If you did have a child, you were gonna get married. Like, they believed in God, faith. Like, our grandparents were not what we are or what this generation is today. Like, not at all. Like, we were so freaking conservative. It wasn't even funny. Like, we went to church every Sunday. Granddad was preaching the word of God. Like, this is just the stuff that we had. We had a family structure and a foundation. And the only reason why this liberal mentality can be pushed now is because we don't have that. We don't have a dad anymore. We don't have moms anymore. We don't have any of that stuff. So where there's no sure foundation, you can push anything you want to off on a child. Most of these kids, I would beg to say, that are pro-abortion, pro-transgender, pro-gay, pro all this stuff, they have no family structure. I guarantee you, if you go look back at their family structure, they probably don't have a dad, or they have an absent father. They probably don't have love from a mother either. I can pull most of these children that think like this, and I can show you a very destructive childhood and a child that has been very traumatized as well. almost guaranteed. Same thing if you think about the homosexual agenda too, and most homosexuals, a lot of them have trauma, a lot of them have pain, a lot of them been raped and molested, you name it, they have been exposed to this stuff. So of course they think it's natural. It's all a learned behavior. But there is somebody that's wanting to join. If you guys don't mind, I can see if they're still
Sure.
around because it's been a little while. So if you
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's it's perfectly fine. Let's see. Make sure that people send their requests. We'll do if we have at least three, we'll do about three, and then we'll let Jericho go on about his night, and the rest of us will start to close out.
Okay, cool. So let me see if they're still on. I don't know if they're still here.
If not, either way, if you guys want to hop on and ask questions, then feel free.
What's up?
What up?
What's
Not
going on?
much. I just wanted to come on and say I love you, Jericho. You're always wisdom, always bringing wisdom, everything. You know, always like when you say bang your wife. Yeah,
That's the truth, man. He fucked his best friend's wife. He's disgusting.
That's wild.
But yeah, man. But thank
Bree,
you.
you didn't know that?
What?
I had no idea. Like, I don't keep up with it that much, but wow.
Yeah, that's why I call him that. He banged and I'm pretty sure he ended up marrying her. But yeah, he screwed his best friend's wife. That's the kind of governor we got.
Yeah. I guess, you know, I was going to ask you guys just, you know, what does it mean to be a conservative and have conservative values? And you think everybody, you know, even, you know, every American has conservative values, even if they don't, I guess, display it or don't say they're conservative? You think everybody kind of has that instilled in them?
You know what? I certainly hope so. I certainly hope that we all got a little conservative in us. I think we do. I mean, I think in order for this to continue to be America, whether people want to admit it or not, that's what this country was built on. That's what attracts this country to other people is, you know, working hard. That's a conservative value. Minding your own, is a conservative value. Caring about people, caring about your country, being proud of your country is a conservative value. And we must have pride in our country for it to continue. Because when we start seeing our country as this fucked up dystopian place, we're going to lose respect for it. And we're not going to take care of it and honor it. Because I can't think of another country I'd rather be in. I've been to 15 other ones. This is by far the best. There's no other place we need to be, but if we keep allowing them to change it, it's not going to be America anymore. Could you imagine the day that people don't want to come here anymore? The day that we lose our spot as America, like the best country? I don't want to see that day, but I certainly hope we all got a couple drops of conservative in the tank, man. We have to.
And do you think there's been kind of some bad advertising about conservatives and some bad raps, I guess, that conservatives get? And the way I look at being conservative is conserving the Constitution, conserving those values. And when I ask people, you know, do you know what conservatives are? And they don't know, even though they hate them or whatever. They don't know what it means. So do you think they get a bad rap?
I think so. I think we have poor representation. I think if our Republican representatives, no matter what state you're from, if they were as proud of America as we are, it would make it easier for people to be proud of this country and to come out and support it and change it. We have terrible PR, and it's not our fault. It's not our fault at all. It's the people who we put in place, and in some cases, I bet they lie. And just like Obama, they sell you false goods. I'm going to be this, and then when they get in there, they turn around and there's something totally different. Now, once we see that and we re-elect them, then that's our fault. But I think I get mad sometimes. Now, I never want to see Republicans or conservatives stoop to the leftist level, although in some cases I'm all for the low road. But I hate when they do something and then Republicans are too pussy to do something bad. Like, how are you going to sit there and take it? You don't have to go to their level, but come on, man, you got to get a little bit dirty. This shit is crazy. They just sit there quiet, don't say nothing. They don't capitalize on these colossal failures like high gas prices inflation, us probably going to get involved with the Ukraine-Russian war. I mean, we got over 10,000 troops on the border in Poland. Biden's going there telling them, when you get to Ukraine, this is what you're going to see. So, yeah, man, they need to do a better job of representing us. And if they do, I think that'll help. But as long as they sit there quiet, getting their ass whooped, we're in trouble.
Well, that's all I got, guys. Unless you two want to answer those questions, I'll head out of here.
Thank you, man.
Free.
Thank you.
All right. Those are good questions. Yeah, I feel like, do we have Bree? Do we have anybody else right
Nope,
now?
that was it.
Oh, okay. All right, then we'll start to close out unless anybody wants to hop on, send a request as soon as possible. Yeah, I'll just add on to that and say, Blanchard, I don't know if you're familiar with Blanche.
Yeah, I heard of him
Jericho.
through Megan.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
He said something when we had him on for actually our first episode, was he said he never knew he was conservative. And I think a lot of people are feeling that way. I think a lot of people are like, I never knew I gave a shit about freedom the way that I do right now. And in a sense, conservatism is that, because, you know, when you're conservative, I mean, there's so many ways to really to view it, but I look at it like, hey, like, don't fuck up my shit. You know, like, this is my shit. And don't fuck it up. I had it the way it was supposed to be. That to me is like, in a simple sense, like what conservatism is when you start coming to my country or to my place or to my household and start rearranging shit and fucking things up, that's not the way it's supposed to be. Okay, I had it a way it was supposed to be. And I feel like a lot of people are seeing things that way at this point. And whether they call themselves conservative or libertarian, or I don't know, what all these other labels you want to put on it, it's like you always have a sense of that, because you know it's wrong to curse at your parents, you know it's wrong to kill somebody, you know it's wrong to steal. You like, this is all stuff that's already innately inside of you. And when you start to mess with those things and start to rearrange things and rewire things, which we see a lot of these Democrats and liberals are continuing to do, then you are outside of the conservatism realm. And this is what I'm seeing on a daily basis. So I can kind of say the same thing, is like, I had no idea I was conservative. I mean, if we're going to throw a label on it, like, I had no idea. But I see the destruction of the family. I see the manipulation of the children. I see the brainwashing of, you know, the ethnicities, the black people, the white people, this is all going on, and it's not how it's supposed to be. So, yeah, I think we're all conservative until somebody just says not anymore.
Yeah, the guys who wrote the Constitution, they pretty much put everything on paper for us. And one thing, times may change, technology may change, but people do not change. And they know that greed and overreach was always going to be a problem. And if we just stick to the script, I think that we will be okay. And it's funny, like I was saying earlier, the no fear of consequence, how BLM, or as I call them, CBLM, certain Black Lives Matter, because not all of them, how they said in their what is it, their manifesto or whatever, their letterhead, that they are against the nuclear family. That's the reddest of red flags. You can't be against. That's how we got here. That's the basics of success. All the most financially successful groups in America have the lowest out-of-wedlock birth rates, the most intact families. That's not just a side note. That's not just, that's just something that comes along with it. That's it. Now, having a nuclear family is not a guarantee, but it's your best shot. And once you shake that foundation, then anything you build on top of it is going to fail. And they straight up came out and said, the nuclear family is a European ideal. Well, I don't give a shit where it comes from. That's what we need. Call it what you will. We need nuclear families. We break up the family. Broken families create broken people. Broken people do terrible shit if they don't get fixed. That's why we have these transgender, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I think these people have a hole. They needed something at a certain time in their life, and they didn't get it, and now it's too late. Because life is a highway. We don't got time. We can't go back. We can't turn around and bust a U and fill that void in you that your parents should have or something like that. So they're aiming that void at the rest of us. You will accept me. If you don't accept me, you're a phobe or you're an ist, and we're gonna cancel you because you don't accept me when I'm not the one you need to be looking for your acceptance from. I've said this for a long time. People, all those kind of people, they need to have a road trip. You need to go from coast to coast on a road trip with your dad, get some chips and beef jerky, and you guys talk that shit out and hug it out. Because that's where the acceptance needs to come from. By the time you get on the highway of society, we don't got time for that shit. You're already supposed to be ready when you get here. But these people, they're hell-bent on getting their acceptance. And if that means changing rules, if that means blurring the gender lines, if that means a man can be a birthing person, then that's what it is. But I think that's what they are looking for. And how we can allow that to happen is beyond me. That's some sick shit.
Isn't it funny how you can only be pro-socialist in a capitalistic society? Like, only in America can you be pro-socialism. Like, only in America, like, we have the right to be pro-socialist. Because try going to Cuba or Venezuela and talking to people like that. Like, try it. They're going to look at you like you are crazy. Like, look at their lands. Look at what they're going to. You literally have people that will put up their money as wallpaper because it's nothing.
It ain't worth shit.
It ain't worth nothing for them. They put all their hope and trust in the government. They listen to the government, and they're looking at America and what's going on currently here in America, and they're saying, we saw all this stuff going on in the 60s and 70s. This is how we were taken over too. It started in our school systems first. They got us to hate our country. They first got us to hate our country, told us that our country was racist, and told us that we needed our government to come in and to rescue us, and we accepted it. And look at where we're at now. Like, it's a warning to us. People are looking at us and say, hey, look it over here. But you know what? We have been taught, and we're so privileged here in the West, that we literally been taught that we can invite death, hell, destruction, and damnation to our land, and we're going to survive it. We're that privileged. Where we think that if we invite socialism in here, that somehow we can do socialism better and survive it. And that's not the way socialist works. It's just not. It's
and look at their body count. Look at the communist dictator's body count. That's another thing. A lot of people die. Tens of millions of people die under dictatorships and communist rule.
Yep, a lot of them. And usually they do it through starvation. So that's why when I hear Joe Biden say that food shortages are coming and it's going to be real, I tell people that he is a dictator. Usually dictators rule by starving their people, because when you can starve somebody, you can bring somebody to their knees. Think about it. If you have little children and you know that you're about to watch them starve to death, they're about to cry out to you, I want some food, I want water, and there's nothing that you can do, who are you going to turn to? You're going to turn to the government and say, you know what? How can we make a deal? What can we do here so that we can get some type of food or water? Not understanding that even that is going to be to our detriment. Even that is going to be to our downfall. But that's where America is going. We want the government to solve all of our problems and all of our issues. There's no amount of legislation that can stop people from being racist or homophobes or transgender phobes. It's just not going to happen. You cannot legislate morality. You can't do it.
And look at Kim Jong-un. His people are starving. He's a chubby little bastard. Those food shortages aren't going to hit them. I guarantee you they'll still be cracking lobster tails and laughing at our expense. Guarantee throwing us the fucking scraps. But all of this can only happen if you give up your guns. Because if you got guns, there's no way you're going to have your kid in the corner showing with their ribs showing. No way. There's no way you would let that happen.
And if you look at the history of him too, he went to a private school, like here in America. He went to school here, in America. His dad was once the #1 importer of Hennessy. What does that tell you? None of the rules that they're talking about apply to them. It applies to us. They're looking to rule over us. They're looking to control our lives. They're looking to take our children and making them the foot soldiers of their agenda. That's what they're looking to do. It's not going to be for them. They're still going to drive around in their Ferraris. They're still going to live in their $3.5 million homes. They're still going to go on vacation. They're still going to do everything that they were doing before. It's going to be us that are suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Unfortunately.
the thing is, there's more of us than there is of them. And for some reason, the big group still sits at home on the sofa and watches everything on TV and says, wow, that's crazy.
Yep. And this is how we got into the situation, because all we sit and do is say, oh, that's crazy. And then we have a bunch of people saying that we don't need to. Like, you know how many Christians I hear say we don't need to get our hands dirty? We don't need to do that. We don't need to be in there. We don't need to be on our city councils. We don't need to be on our school boards. We don't need to be teachers. We don't need to be any of that. And I said, yes, we do. As a matter of fact, what we could do is if we all withdrew our children from the public school system, we would hit them where it counts. Withdraw them, get them out of that place, get together, start creating communities. Start homeschooling your kids. Get with the next door neighbors. Create your own stuff. Get them away from the system. The problem is that we have depended on the system for so long, and now we're wondering why our kids are ending up the way that they are. They feel like they can have gay parades with our kids, teach them about being non-binary, teach them about CRT, because we have subjected our kids to the system. We did think about it. We send them to school and they eat lunch there. They get educated there. We're literally entrusting somebody else to essentially raise our kids, and that's not the way that it should be. We should be doing that. We should create our own sense of community and get our children out of here. Hitler said, if I can control the textbooks, I can control generations to come, and it's true to this day.
Yeah, it's, we got, what's funny about that non-binary shit is non-binary means that you're neither male nor female. You're just this Barbie doll crotch thing in the middle that subscribes to neither side. But why do they always end up looking like one of the sides? Like, you're supposed to be non-binary down the middle, then why do you look like a dude? Why do you got your hair cut and you volunteered for a double mastectomy? You look like a boy. So how can you be non-binary? I don't do either one, but you always end up looking like the extreme version of one. How does how do those two things take place in the same space at the same time? That shit makes no sense. But we have people who don't care, who know their children are in fucked up situations and don't care. You got schools in Baltimore where there's no heat and the children are sitting in the classroom with their hats and their gloves and their jackets on because it's the same temperature in the classroom that it is outside. And in the summer, there's no air conditioning. It's hot and humid. I don't know if you've ever been to Baltimore in the summer. Hot and muggy as shit. Humidity, damn near 100%. So if you know that, but I couldn't sleep at night knowing that my child is cold or overheating in class. How do you expect them to focus? Their damn feet are cold. Their teeth are chattering. They're sweating, if it's in the summertime. How do you expect them to concentrate? And how, as a parent, can you put your kid in that situation every day and not do anything about it? Know that they don't have any books or not up-to-date books. They don't even have heat. Fucking rats in the school. What kind of sick-ass parent is doing that? Because the only thing worse than the wolf is the one that feeds the child to the wolves. A wolf's gonna wolf, but you don't have to feed your kid to him and knowingly hand your kid over to somebody that doesn't give a shit about him. I think it ultimately falls on the parents. Our shoulders have to be broad. We have a lot to do with our kids. We have a lot to teach them. We are their first teacher. Your kid shouldn't get to school as a blank slate and not know what's going on. Mama should have been teaching that kid before they got to school. You should have known something before you got there. But as parents, how can we send our children to situations like that? Send them to these fucking gladiator schools where they're just fighting, seeing violence, people get knocked out, shootings. Like what? What? How come you're not down there at the school board meeting going, what the fuck? So we can't blame the system when we keep putting our kids in it. How do you, kids are supposed to go to school to learn, not worry about fighting or getting shot or freezing, getting to school. And I remember if it was cold outside, you get to school and take your shit off because it's warm in the classroom. You take your jacket and your gloves and you hang them on the hook because the room is temperature controlled. You're not sitting there trying to go through your pages with fucking mittens on. What kind of shit? Like, we got to stop failing our kids way before they stop failing our kids. We have to demand better.
That's exactly right. And I remember seeing a video of this school, I think in New York, literally had the kids outside eating lunch and doing schoolwork because of COVID in the middle of winter. I was like, I would have been at that school. You would have thought the SWAT team came through that door because I would have kicked that freaking door wide open and I would have gotten the principal's face, the assistant principal, and the teachers. I would have been in everybody's face about what they've done to my child. I don't understand how people are not at these schools actively kicking open doors. Like, why aren't you guys saying something? Why aren't you guys outraged? Why aren't you guys lighting these textbooks on fire that are teaching your kids about pornographic material, CRT, not being non-binary? Like, why aren't you guys? There was a school up here in Austin that the mother literally took the book to the school board and said, look at what you guys are teaching our children. It had pornographic material inside of there. That mom, to me, was way too nice. Way too nice. More parents need to be outraged. Not only outraged, but take your kids out. Once you take your kids out and there's no kids there but the leftist liberal children, you think the teachers are still going to stay there to teach? Do you think your city council is still going to be there? They're not going to be there. They're only there because you write their check for them. Take that ink off of that check and stop cashing their checks for them. And I guarantee you, they'll start coming to you, asking you how they can change things.
Yeah, Austin is like California's field office. That's like California's little brother that said, I want to be a cowboy. That's Austin. Austin is lost. You can't even count that as Texas. Yeah. That's what that school was, where they had the pride parade and told the kids not to tell their parents. Why don't, instead of a pride parade, gay pride parade, why don't you have a self-pride parade, a pride in your parents parade, or a pride in your country parade, or a pride in your family history? I don't know, but where's what pride? What do you mean? Like, okay, be proud. Shut the fuck up about it. Everybody's proud of what they are, but you don't, but that's that acceptance. You have to accept me for what I am, to love me. Just like those clown ass fools in the NBA. Man, where is your damn dignity? How are you going to have someone in the back of your jersey that says, respect me, listen to me? What are you, a 15-year-old girl going through a fucking breakup? Don't respect me, don't listen to me, don't talk to me, leave me the fuck alone. But listen to me, believe me. And do you think somebody's going to look at that and go, you know what, I never thought of it that way. Let me listen to you. And for what? Once they're done listening, what the fuck are they going to do? But that shit is so weak, man. We need to stop that shit. We really do. Because, unfortunately, there are kids who look at these people and give weight to what they think and what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Where can people find you active on, Jericho?
Oh, well, number one, YouTube. That's my go-to for now. Instagram at JG Talk. Spotify, Rumble. I got a platform on this thing called Recoil TV. That's like a home safety kind of magazine. They hit me up for an article and they ask like, what weapons do you have for home defense and your home, how it's laid out, and how you protect your home. It's good for everybody, really. If you want to learn how to protect yourself, you want some knowledge, check it out. But all of those things, if you go to YouTube, Jericho Green, in the description box, I got my link tree with all that stuff on it. So yeah, I'm trying to be in as many places as I can, the kind of whack-a-mole kind of thing. If they get me here, I'll pop up somewhere else.
Yeah, that makes sense. We're kind of starting to do the same thing. I think I'd advise everybody to kind of do that because I was off Facebook probably 2 years ago. The last thing, you want to know what got me off of Facebook? I posted a photo of Chuck Schumer kissing a little black girl on the mouth, and they said, "Whoa, you can't distribute child, you know what?" And then I was gone from there ever since then, and I was like, "Oh, so it's true."
Oh, that
Yeah,
shit is gross, man. Come on.
yeah.
I was on Twitter, and I got kicked off of Twitter, and I'll never go back. Maybe if Elon Musk cleans things up. But I was on Twitter, and Alyssa Milano, I like to follow crazy people sometimes just to see the stupid shit that they believe. And so she posted, it was during Trump's presidency, and she put, "The MAGA hat is the new white hood." So obviously, knowing how stupid that statement is, I went on there and I said, if the MAGA hat is the new white hood, you're the new dumb bitch. And like 10 seconds later, you stop me when I'm lying. 10 seconds later, I get a notice from Twitter saying it's a wrap. And I would go on there like every month or so just to check and see if I'd been reinstated, and I hadn't. But I mean, how do you give me such a delicious fruit that is ripe and ready to be plucked and not expect me? You know, you might have peach and you got the juice and shit. That's how that was. How you can say something so stupid? So you're telling me a red baseball cap in 2021 is equal to the hood of a Klan member? I had to say it. And I would say it again.
Hey,
That's,
you know
That is
what?
pure gold.
That reminds me of the Colin Kaepernick rhetoric. Kelly's talking about the NFL. It's
but he's
like
knocking down the
slavery,
door to get back in.
but he's knocking down the door to get back in.
So which
Yep.
one is it? I saw that I braved all of those episodes so I could do a review on my channel, that Colin Kaepernick and black and white bullshit. And I'd like to stick a microphone in his parents' face to hear how they felt about the way they were portrayed in that. Portrayed in that. But it literally went from an NFL combine, and then they walked to another set, and now they're slaves with no clothes on. And the people who were the coaches are now, with the straw hats. Hey, boy, turn around, boy, on a slave auction block. So, again,
What a shame.
equating slavery to million pampered, adored millionaires. Colin Kaepernick made $14 million in one season. If a slave worked at slave wages for 50 years, they would make $185,000. Colin Kaepernick has that in his left earlobe. But you are trying to break into a plantation. Is that what you're telling me? You are trying to get that. They set you free. They cut you loose. Go on. Get out of here. And you're trying to put the shackles, you're trying to clip the shackles back around your ankle. And how people can listen to that dumbass is beyond me.
I think though that it's all like a setup and it's propaganda, because you know that he has a documentary coming out with Spike Lee and somebody else, right? So I think what's happening, because Colin Kaepernick knows he's not getting back in the NFL. He knows that, right? Like, there's no doubt about that. And then also, I really don't think he wants to be back on there. But every time he has something coming up, if you pay attention, he starts with this, tweeting out, "I'm trying to get back in," because what does it do? It thrives on people's emotions. People get emotional. Oh my gosh, they're trying to keep a black man from being in the NFL, and look at how racist they are, right? So Colin Kaepernick's name gets right back out there. And then they go and watch his documentaries, they go and watch his films and everything else. So really, it's just one big promotional tour.
Yeah. We shouldn't even say his name anymore at this point.
Oh man,
He's just not important. I mean,
at all.
yeah, I don't even know if he's even in Madden anymore. So it's just like, just go away.
And if he isn't mad, just have him kneeling on the sideline the whole time. Don't even put him on the field. Fucking dumb. Dude,
Oh God.
somebody gave my son their son's old 49er jersey, and it was Colin Kaepernick. I was like, oh hell no, this is going right to the Goodwill. No way.
I don't even know if it would make it to the Goodwill if it was if that was my shit. I would have just been like, here, man, the homeless man
Yeah,
may
here.
want a shirt. You know what I
Please
mean?
soil this.
So, all right. So let's wrap it up, man. It's been a good, probably I think 2 hours of fire. To be honest, I really enjoyed this. I was looking forward to this a lot. So I was really, really excited to do this and have you on, Jericho. We are going to do. So we do guest panels, which would be, it'll probably be like a Q&A and all that, especially for like people who may not have had an opportunity to engage. But we like to have guests that we've had on combined with other guests as well, and just do a guest panel of the sort. So we just did one with Megan and Blanchard, and we have a couple others with the other guests we have. So if you're interested in doing that as well, then we'd love to have you on for future reference before our quote unquote season 1 of this ends. And I saw Brandon Tatum in here earlier. I actually sent him an email, but I'm sure he's a busy man. And I'm like, I don't know how you get hold of that dude, but I actually reached out to him as well. Would have liked to have him on, and I think that'd be a good little dynamic as well. So we have about 4 more episodes that we're doing of this for now. So within that time, we'll have the guest panel open as well for you to join in on if you want to do it.
Oh, most definitely, man. Hey, you just let me know, just like you did last time. Hit me up. I'll be here. No problem, man. This is great. I love being around like-minded folk. You know, when you're out here doing battle, you know, all you see is the enemy. And it's good to know that you got some reinforcements, you know, out here, you know, fighting the bullshit. And what's funny is they tell us that this country is racist, and they tell us that the #1 threat in this country is white supremacy. But I can tell you this, that the most vicious shit I've heard in the comment section, and it's like BB's off of that shit, man, I don't know these people, I don't give a fuck about them. But the most vicious shit I've heard is from people who are not too far off of my skin tone. So let that be known. That's white privilege. This dude, RIP, conservative thug, he told me, he said, white privilege is the privilege to disagree socially and politically and not be called a traitor to your race. That's white privilege, and that's where it stops, because we don't have that privilege. You step off the plantation, you're all kinds of coons and Uncle Toms, and why don't they read the book Uncle Tom Was a Hero, you dumbasses? But anyway, yeah, man, you let me know. I'll be right here with you. Just holler at your boy.
Awesome. Yeah. Also, for people who are remaining, because you're using Innerview's page, Bree, you can follow Bree at Bree Cruz, BRICRUISE. So thank you for hosting, because you did fantastic. As always, Bree's a superstar. She's the superstar of the series.
Okay.
We're just playing the background. Thank you, Bree.
I know.
Yeah, no worries. I like doing this, actually.
We're the ones in the background doing the choreographed dances. You up front. But thank you guys.
No, seriously.
I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. Oh, by the way, just in case you did not know, the videos go on YouTube the following week. So we did this today, Tuesday, so it'll be on YouTube next Tuesday. If you want maybe like a copy or something of it when it's edited and all that, then you know, I can send it your way. I can shoot it to you through email or something like that as well. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. We'll keep in touch. I'll let you know about the guest panel.
Thank you guys again. Thank you for having me, sharing your platform with me. You guys got a good operation. You run a tight ship. And anytime you want to have me on, just let me know. I'll be right here.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Peace.
Bye-bye.